What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the MMA Archive. I'm here with my guy Arwinism today. Why don't you tell them where they can find you at?
You can follow me on Twitter, 808 MMA Insight, and yeah.
Yes, sir. So not even last week. Yesterday's UFC card was pretty lit. I'm not gonna lie. I did a whole breakdown and I ended up going 7-7 on my picks. So this is the second week in a row that I ended up going even. And I literally started the night 1-5. So I was like, dude, I'm fucked. Like it's over. But funny enough, I ended up evening it out later on, and then I ended up coming away with a little over $50 too. So my bets played out well, but my picks not so well.
It's all good, man.
Yes, sir.
Even's even, bro. Even's even.
Yep, that's all you could ask for. So anything stood out last week? Well, last Saturday that you want to talk about?
Bro, honestly, I've been watching this man since he was on Tough, but Khalil Roundtree, man. Like, just everything about his performance. Like, oh, dude, his post fight, too. Like, it's just like, that's why you love MMA. You got this beautiful violence, this like, this carnal instinct, and then you just have all that wholesome, like I'm trying to inspire people type of stuff. And then it's like, man, and he brought back the grounded body kicks. That's my shit. I love it, bro.
Yes, sir. And I love that you mentioned that too, because I agree. I feel like he's always been that guy, always been putting that sort of on the forefront, letting people know his story, which is really cool.
Mhm.
And the fact that he still gets super emotional about it today, you can see how much it means about him. And that comes out when he fucking fights too. That was one of the picks I ended up getting right. Super pumped for him, like you said.
Oh
On
man.
on the other
Mhm.
side of it, I'm a little confused though. I felt like Carl Roberson really had a strange game plan for this one, and I honestly don't know where he goes from here because he has been competitive in other fights against good fighters, but this one he just seems a little lost out there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I actually didn't know he was like a former glory kickboxer, and then I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, maybe Khalil shouldn't like exchange with him then. But then like every time, I think it was just Khalil has this power that like once you feel it, you're like, oh, that's that shit. I don't want to feel that, bro.
Shit is different. Or
I know. He's like, wait, wait. I thought I was fighting some guy who just trained in Thailand. I didn't know he was hitting like this.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I thought it was
awesome.
interesting too, the way we talked about it on the show last week, but just the way he sort of adapts his game fight to fight. Obviously, we've seen sort of Muay Thai Khalil. This is a new version of Khalil too, really low stance, coming
Yeah,
in with
yeah.
big power shots. I think there's really something to be said about his ability to sort of prep for these individual matchups and not be a chameleon, but sort of find the best route in a lot of these matchups, and a lot more often in the recent times he's been able to do well with it. So I'm really excited about him and his career. I really feel like you said, he could go on a run and really turn things around. He got all the tools to do it for sure.
Oh yeah, man. From like just like his whole background too, like what you said with the Muay Thai and everything, like the low stance. I think now he's trying to be more like trying to adapt each fight, where it's like having the low stance, defending the takedown and stuff, but also like, making you pay, when catching the kick, throwing that bomb, but
Mhm.
also like from a promo aspect too, when you think about it, like his story is so inspirational, like all the weight loss journey, everything like that. But then if he gets into like the top 15 and all that, like man, dude, like that's gonna be such a like that's the type of wholesome story you need in MMA right now,
Yes,
and
sir.
I really believe in him, man.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's able to do. Looking at the rest of this card, there was a bunch of finishes that I really liked that I wanted to highlight. Real quick, Tiffany and Chu Qui against Azamat Mersakanov. This one was a heartbreaker, man. I picked Tiffany. I was feeling good. My pick was coming through. He did all the right things, sort of put him in bad positions, trying to drain that gas tank. You could argue some of those, one of those rounds, I think the second could have been like a 10-8. That's how much it was sort of one-sided in ChuQui's favor. And then Mersakanov just turns it around the only way he knows how. The way he landed that knee, when I when I saw him fall, that shit looked fake. Like I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way he really landed that and finished him like that quick. It was crazy.
Yeah, just that whole thing. Like those Russian guys, man. Is he Russian? He has to be with that name like that, right? But they're just they just have no quit, man. Like I think a lot of that, especially like part of the clinch too, was just like trying to drain the gas tank a bit. Just like the forward pressure and everything too was just nice. Oh man, it's exciting to see what's gonna happen in the next couple of years with those guys too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's only up. I would imagine. I think there's obviously a lot of things he needs to work on. When you got power like that's the equalizer. It doesn't matter. You could be down big, and find a comeback just the way he did. So, he answered a
Exactly.
lot of questions in this matchup because the big thing we were talking about last week was like, he's a first rounder bust kind of guy. So after seeing those first two rounds, I was like, let's go, we got this. This one's in the bag. And then obviously it landed that huge knee. Really excited to see where he goes from here, and both of them too. I think don't write off in Chu Qui either. I think this guy's really good, and I think he showed that even though he ended up losing in that way. And I'm sure he's heartbroken, but he'll be back too for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
bro. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, another fight that I wanted to talk about too, Trevin Jones versus Javid Basharat. Um, I ended up picking Trevin Jones in this one. I thought there was a big sort of physicality edge on his side, and I was completely wrong about that. I tweeted this during the event. Don't get on me for this because I know this is like a casual take. But his striking on the feet, I really feel like he reminds me a lot of the way McGregor fights. Obviously, he doesn't have that cross that puts guys to sleep the same way McGregor does. But the activity, the way he sort of bounces in and out of range, sort of crowding the lead hand, even though he fights out of orthodox, I think there's so many similarities there, which kind of bugged me out watching it. I was like, yeah, this dude clearly has been watching a lot of McGregor tape. But I was just surprised that he didn't sort of mix in his ground game at all. I think we saw that on the Contender Series. He got a very good ground game, and he thought, the path to victory on this one was on the feet, and he dominated largely, to be honest.
Yeah, man. Like, no, I agree with that. That's not a bad take. Because, like, I think it was the first intercepting me when he came in. I was like, man, this guy has pretty good distance management. Because, like, you don't see that a lot, you know? Like, I think Donald Cerrone was really good at that, too. Like, as soon as they come in, just throws the knee. And then seeing him do that, I was like, yo, this guy's going to be a force soon, you know? I want to see.
Yes, sir. And those spinning back kicks too. I think that was the icing on the cake for me. I'm like, yeah, this dude's been this dude's been watching the McGregor tape for sure. But yeah, I think he got the full package. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does because 145, it's a division full of killers, bro. Like everyone talks about how bantamweight is super stacked, featherweight and lightweight. Those three weight classes, I think, is the best stretch in MMA across all the weight classes. I think that there's so many good fighters even outside the top 15 that people may not know who they are, but they're on their way. So, and I think he's one of those guys. Um, but another big matchup that really had me excited, Alex Pereira going up against Bruno Silva. I thought,
Yo.
this one went a way that I didn't think it would go. I thought it would definitely be a knockout. Funny enough, I ended up making a bet on the knockout for like a good amount, like 2.5 units. But I
Mm-hmm.
saw that Alex Pereira by decision was like plus 950. So I was like, you know what? Let me sprinkle zero point 0.2 units because I think there's no way that Bruno Silva wins.
Yeah.
And dude, that shit saved
Yeah.
me. Like I ended up making more money off of that sprinkle than I would have if he did knock him out. And I was like, damn, imagine I would have put like my whole account on this. I'll be rich as fuck right now. I
Oh,
wish I did that,
that's what I'm
but
saying. Oh,
that was a good fight though,
yeah.
man. I think he showed a lot
Mm-hmm.
of improvement and really showed how good his takedown defense is. I thought there was sometimes he did look a little vulnerable on the feet, which I found interesting, especially in this matchup. But I think people in the top 15 are going to give him problems. But if they keep giving him guys like on this level, I think he's going to get a few more finishes on the way up to try to make that top 15. But he's calling out Jared Cannonier already. I was so surprised by that. I'm like, please, that's the last shit you want.
Let's wait a bit on that. But for real though, man, like I think the level he's fighting at right now is good. Like he needs those kind of like fights that make him work. And like cause like he got caught in like simultaneous exchanges too a couple times. And I think that was like in the first. And then like I was like, oh wow, he has a pretty good chin. But then like this is a guy who's like still trying to walk forward and trying to hit with him, which is like obviously the percentage is higher for him to win. So I'm just curious how he goes against like the top 10 guys, you know, like Cannonier, like obviously, man, like that guy's a tank. So it's like he'll keep walking forward, maybe he'll have a chance, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you never know. Sometimes they'd be throwing like, you know, takedowns in there. That's I'm more curious about that. See how he fights against like guys like, you know, Robert Whitaker, who's like super good at just mixing the takedown. You know, the top control is not too bad either too. So but we'll see, man. Like Pereira, I think he can do it. I just think it's like I think he needs to work a little bit more, and then if he can keep sleeping guys like you said, oh yeah, we can do that. Canyon fight would be good.
Yeah, man, it'll be a great matchup. I think there's a lot of room for growth there. The question is if he really has the time to do it. I really feel like
Yeah,
at
yeah.
when you're trying to grow at the UFC level, you just run into a lot of problems with people that are doing things that are matchup dependent. It was funny coming into the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno Silva was saying, "I'm just trying to get the knockout. I'm not going to try to be like Khabib. I'm not going to wrestle him." And then he went, obviously did. He went for a lot of takedowns throughout the course of the fight. So that's everyone's game plan against him, regardless of their grappling background or base. That's what they're coming to do, and you could tell he's aware of that, and he does his damnedest to try to stay away from those sort of red flag areas, which is always good signs. But even though I think he showed good reactions, I think the fact that some of those entries were that easy for a guy that's not known for his wrestling, obviously once he hit that level, there's some questions to be answered. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope they give him a lot of strikers so that we don't have to find out too early.
I feel that. Yeah, they gotta use that, especially his window too. His window, he's like what, like mid 30s, right?
Yeah, he's like
A little bit,
34, I think. Yep.
bro. Yeah, that window's closing, but I think it'll be good, especially since he's training with Glover too. You know,
Yes,
so
sir. The champ.
yeah.
It's always good to see. I think a lot of his fighters lately have been doing very well in the UFC. So shout out to Glover
Mm.
Teixeira doing the damn thing over there in Connecticut. Next up,
Shut on the
Drew Dober versus Terence Mckinney. This was this is fucking crazy, bro. This fight was insane. I put money on dude, I put money on Terence Mckinney, and I don't even feel bad about it because there was moments there where it was almost certain that Drew Dober was going to get slept, and then the fact that he was able to just sort of brace the storm, hold on, just barely hold on, until Terence McKinney just looked dead out there.
It's the fact he hit him with a head kick on the way up, and I'm like, how is he alive? This man should be dead. There's no way. There's no way he should be alive. And then, oh man, dude, but Drew, man, that guy's a tank also, bro. He took all that shit, and then like, and that's not even a bad loss too, you know. Like Terrence still young, fucking like a short notice fight, right? So
Mhm.
it's like his win like that. I don't think he loses stock that bad either, too. You know, so but Drew Dover, man, he really needed that win though. That was a good win.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I thought that matchup was bad just because the size, and I thought he might go to his grappling a little bit more. I felt like if he was
Mm.
able to sort of stretch out his cardio, he would have had a better chance. but you can't blame him for following up like that. I feel like like you said, everyone on the outside looking in was like, this shit is over. Like it's only a matter of time. And then he's able to turn it around like that. Crazy. Got to give all the respect to Drew Dober, and then calling out Bobby Green too. That's a fight I want to see.
That's a good fight. That's a really good fight. Yeah,
man.
that'd be good too, because both at the same level right now. I feel like Drew's a little bit like trying to get back up there again. Bobby, like again, same thing, short notice fight with Islam. Didn't lose any stock in that, but that'd be a good fight. That'd be a good scrap.
Word, especially I think both of their last losses are to Islam, so might as well make that matchup happen. That shit was my honestly round of the year so far for me. That's it. Like you can't tell me anything else at the moment, at least. Next up, I just quickly wanted to mention this. I thought Sadiq Yusuf looked very good. There was a lot of room for error in a matchup like this, especially. Um, I thought Alex Caceres did a lot better on the feet than he got credit for by the commentators. I thought he landed a lot of good straight shots off the lead. And sort of in my head, I was like, there might be an argument to give it 2 rounds for Alex Caceres just for damage, because obviously punches to the face look a little bit more attractive than leg kicks. But at the same time, though, I agree with the decision. I think he did a very good job sort of keeping him at range and picking him apart and just using his strength really as like a sort of anchor to prevent him from ending up in extended grappling exchanges with Caceres, which was exactly what he needed to do. So really good shout. He called out Bryce Mitchell. I don't know about that, bro. I think that's a little too far down the grappler spectrum.
Oh
But
man.
good performance overall, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely, and not a bad loss for Alex too, because Sadiq coming back up from his loss against Arnold Allen, and that's really good for Sadiq too, because like Alex has been there for like long time already, and then, but I agree with the Bryce Mitchell call out. Like, I mean, dude, he was Alex was attacking that back like relentlessly, so I don't even know how it's gonna work with like Bryce, especially Bryce too, like being like I think the better wrestler too, in my opinion. So we'll see how that works. But I think that'll be a good fight though, if he can keep it on the feet too. So.
For sure. I thought Bryce looked really improved on the feet, but you could tell leg kicks are a route to sort of slow him down. And that's exactly what Yusuf showed that he's getting better at in this fight. So definitely an interesting matchup to look at going forward. I wonder if he gets it. But I think they're gonna try to get Bryce Mitchell someone in that top 10. But next up, Marlon Moraes versus Song Yadong. This fight was fucking crazy too. Um, I just want to say this. Everyone likes to clown on Marlon Moraes. I've been a huge fan of his for a long time now. I really feel like there's something to be said about the fact that he's changing camp so often. I feel like he's really trying to find what the issue is. And I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if at this point those things are necessarily what's going to fix it. I feel like he may want to take a step back, take some time off, and just really focus on his skills. And that's not to say he's not like, oh, he's not a skilled fighter. That's not what I'm saying. I think he
Mm-hmm.
showed a real tendency to take damage in a bad way lately. And you could see in a lot of ways, sort of after he gets hit hard that first time, it almost looks like he's like deflated, like fuck, here we are again, like we're here again. And you saw that I thought especially in this one, like after he got hit really hard in that first exchange, he looked almost like, oh shit, like it's happening again. And you could see that like he's sort of reverting to like panic in those moments. And of course that's a hard thing to avoid. But when you have 4 sort of stoppage losses back to back like this, um, it's just not good for anyone's brain health for sure. So really hope he takes the time to sort of shore up those issues, because I don't doubt that he could beat a lot of guys in that division, but he's been facing everyone at the top.
Yeah, man. Like, dude, that was a rough fight. I mean, I had Song winning like before, but like the fact that like what you said, like the constant cam switching and everything like that, like I feel like it's just it really is about rest. And it's like I don't even like the mental aspect, like not a lot of people think about that too. It's like, oh, I used to be WSOF champ, you know, like I was like the top 10, I beat Jose Aldo, like stuff like that. And then you see like, but a lot of his losses are against like in the UFC have been against like really good guys, you know, like Song. But the last four, man, it's just like I don't even know that has to take like a toll on your mental, like for sure, especially against top guys. And you know, a lot of these guys are just like, you know, I know I can beat the best in the world and stuff. And um, bro, it's devastating because like he was great. Like when I found out he was debuting in the UFC, I was like, dude, like he's gonna wreck shop. And then the fact that these last four losses, which aren't bad because they're against like good competition, right? But it's just like I agree, man. Like the rest is like something due. Like when's the last time we saw Dizaroni fight too, and like Lozon, and then now they're fighting against each other later on. It's like it's needed. It's needed. You got to have that. And Song's just a monster. So it's just like
Dude.
that was just, oh my god, dude. He had like the two uppercuts, and I was just like, oh no, like please stop. Like you can see his eyes like fade, and I was like, no, please stop it. I don't want to see this.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good call out too against Cruz.
Yeah, man.
I was like, whoa, okay. Oh, we're bringing it back. Alpha male versus Cruz again. Let's go.
Yeah, word. I won't be surprised if they give it to him. I know Cruz is probably like, hell no, give me someone in the top five. But
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, I don't want it to be lost how good of a performance it was for Song Yadong. I think he needed that as
Mm-hmm.
well. I think in a lot of ways. And what I find really so weird about it is obviously just Marlin is known for being dangerous in that first round, and now guys are just coming after him because they've seen him get hurt. So it's like that sort of air is gone, and now everyone that he fights is just going to come after him and try to light him on fire. But those uppercuts, like you said, that finishing blow was nasty, dude. Like the way he landed, you could tell he was out, like he wasn't there. And the killer instinct, like that dude's a monster. And I think he'll knock out Dominic Cruz too if they make that matchup.
Bro, it's a new evolution of fighter, man. Like they're good at everything, bro. And he's still young too. And it's just like, damn, that's rough, bro. It's rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to beat that guy. Let's talk about this main event for like a minute because this shit was garbage. I just want to say, for the way he was favored, I thought Magomed Ankalaev handled his business and did what he had to do.
Uh,
But I think he could have got him out of there if he really pushed it to the limit and really put more activity out there. And I can't blame him for playing it safe against someone who has close to the UFC record of knockouts. Like he's up there on that list, but at the
mm,
same time, it just feels like at this point of their careers, that should have been an easier fight, in my opinion.
yeah, that was kind of weird. I was honestly in and out because I was just like watching it, and I was just like, oh man, like I don't know if I can like keep my attention. Like I got bad ADD, so I'm just like watching this shit. But like he had some good moments too. But yeah, man, like Uncle I was a monster too in his own right. But I think it's just when you reach kind of like that top, like you're either gonna like try to keep finishing or you're just gonna try to like play it safe so you can guarantee yourself another shot, you know, another
That's a
title
really
shot.
good point. Yeah, really good point. And in a 5 round fight too, this is two in a row now. You know, he's doing his thing. So we'll see how it goes from here on out. But we got a fun card this weekend coming up. I'm excited for
Mm.
this one, UFC London. I love when they put on these events and actually give hometown fights to people. Like I used to hate like with a passion when they'll go somewhere and then they have like only like two people that are that are local from the area fighting on the card. Like why? You want to capitalize on those spots, and I think they did a good job of doing that this weekend.
Oh yeah,
So I'm really
stack.
excited. Yeah, man, it's a really good spread of fights. So first up, we got Nathaniel Wood taking on Vince Morales. On paper, when I first looked at this matchup, I'm like, yeah, Nathaniel Wood's got this. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I think Vince Morales has really showed a lot of improvement lately.
Mm,
Um, and obviously we've seen Nathaniel Wood get hurt on the feet. And I think
yeah.
there's something to say about him having a little bit of a leaky nose. I think he's had a lot of breaks in that nose. And I think in a couple of fights now, we've seen damage to that area. So that's something to look out for. I think this matchup is closer than a lot of people think. What are you thinking?
Um, I'm very biased when it comes to Hawaii guys. So when Vince Morales knocked out Louis Smolka, I was very upset. But like, yeah, he just like you said with the nose, and I think Vince has a lot of power too, especially like in that bantamweight division too. But man, I don't know. But every time these London guys they fight in their hometown, it just lights a fire. But I guess for me, I think yeah, man, it's a hard choice. Like it's really even, but I'm gonna go with Vince just based on you know him knocking out Smoka and being active and stuff. So
Nice. I like that. I don't got the balls. I was gonna but I'm gonna go with Nathaniel Wood here. I think that sorry, let me write this in Morales. I'm spelling this entirely wrong. There we go. Um I'm gonna go with the reason why I'm picking Wood is I feel like he's gonna go to his grappling in this one like early. And I think that's what's gonna be the difference. But if they stay striking, I honestly think Morales has an edge. So I don't blame you for making that pick either. So I'm excited to see the way that one plays out for sure. So next up, I think this one is one of the harder matchups for me to get a read on. Really, Corey McKenna coming up against Elise Reed. Both of these women, I think, 0-1 in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. Um, no, did Corey McKenna lose to Kay
she
Hansen,
won.
right? She
She
beat
won
Kay
her
Hansen.
last fight. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she won her last fight.
Thank you for reminding me of that. So clearly, I'm unprepared to talk about this one. But do you have any thoughts on this matchup?
Um, man, honestly, like I'm the same too. I'm actually looking up the stuff right now too. That's how I knew that she won the last one. But
Mhm.
she looked pretty good against Kay Hansen from what I remember. But I think again, like it's hard to say no to a London fighter, especially fighting in their home country or just any home fighter. So and yeah, I'm just reading the stats. So just going off the stats, I'm not very familiar with like a lot of these like a lot of these fighters,
Mhm.
and I was just like, yeah, I think I'd go with McKenna on this one.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout too. I'm gonna pick her too. My reasoning is um it really stuck out to me when I was looking at who they recently fought. The way she got beat up by Sarge, like I actually thought she was a little bit more live in that fight than it turned out to be. I thought once it got to the ground, dude, it looked really bad. Like if you're getting finished by Sajara Eubanks, respectfully, there's a lot of things you gotta sort of adjust in your game because I don't think she's a sort of a finisher at this point in her career, especially in the UFC. So that sort of level showed me, yeah, I'm gonna go with Corey McKenna here, especially at home, like you said. But next up, this right here, if you ask me, this could have been the fucking main event. Like this is a a great fight, dude, and I can't believe it's all the way this down on the card. Jack Shore, from he's from what is it called? He's Welsh. The most
Yeah, yeah,
powerful flag in the game. It's like a dragon. She looks dope as hell. Coming up against Timur Valiev, um, a complete fighter, a scary fighter, especially on the feet, and someone that I think the clash of styles in this one is really gonna make for an exciting fight. What do you think about this matchup, man?
this is good. Like this is very good matchmaking. Just because Jack Shore is on the come up too, Tamir Valiev is on the come up as well, and it's like it's a good prospect fight. You know, you really want to see like where these guys' ceilings are, and I feel like against each other, they're really going to show a lot. You know, looking at the stats too, it's like okay, it's like kind of even, especially like the significant strikes, and like, but definitely you're gonna see. I really want to see. He got a 71-inch reach, and then Valiev has a 67-inch reach. So I want to see like what game plan he chooses with this, because you know it's just this one's gonna be fireworks. There's like no way.
Word, I agree. So my read on this one is like I really feel like Jack Shore's grappling is where he shines. Like steps ahead of guys out there in that department. And I think
Mm-hmm.
this matchup, what makes it such a good prospect fight is I don't think he's going to be able to have that constant success that he has with the grappling. I think he's really going to
Right,
have to
right, right.
mix in his striking in order
Mm-hmm.
to have a successful game plan. I'm really excited to see how this one plays out, but I do think on the feet he's going to be able to sort of keep him at distance and do
Mm-hmm.
what he has to do to sort of keep that same game plan of staying steps ahead but on the feet. So I'm picking Jack Shore in this one, but I will not be surprised if Valiev dominates. That's how even of a matchup it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's gonna be a good one for
Yes,
sure.
sir. So who's your pick, man? You got to give me a pick.
Damn. Oh shit. Man, it's like one of those fights where you don't want to because you like both guys, but
Mm-hmm.
um I definitely do like Jack Shore a lot, especially like when you listen to his interviews, like he seems very enthusiastic, like he knows how good he is, and um I want to see where he goes after this, if he beats him or not, because I feel like just in this market, especially London too, you want to see like a lot of these guys sell, and I feel like he really can sell a lot. So I think I go with Jack Shore.
Nice. So next up, this is another exciting matchup. I know the fans are going to be going crazy for this one. Molly McCann coming up against Luana Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this was another one of those matchups that I first looked at it and I was like, yeah, Molly McCann's going to win this one. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't know. I think Luana's showed a lot of improvement in her last couple fights after sort of having a lot of quick finish losses in the UFC. And the fact that she's been able to get on the winning track after that, I think it's really a credit to her growth as a fighter.
Right.
I think on the feet, this one is a lot more even than people would think. And then on the ground, I think what I find funny about it is obviously both of these women have been submitted in the UFC, so it's a little tough to gauge that. But I think personally the sort of strengths of both fighters are going to lend to this being more of a grappling fight than a striking fight, which I find funny because like I said, both of them have been submitted in the UFC. I think I'm going to go with Luana Carolina here. I think I can't go all London fighters. I can't pick all of them. From what I'm seeing so far, I feel like this is one of the closer matchups.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I want Marlin McCann to win. I love her as a fighter. I think she has a great personality. But I'm picking Luana in this one.
yeah, man. When I was looking at this one, I was like, I think Molly's pressure would like really like set Luana off a bit, but then like you like also just like watching her recent fights and seeing how she's been improving, I really want to see if Luana can really use her distance better. Just because like with the forward pressure and everything from Molly and everything like that, I feel like that'll probably set the difference. Like if she can use her distance, keep her away, intercept her forward pressure, everything like that, I feel like Luana could probably take this as a decision and win it on her own. But I really want to see like if Molly can set her off with her pressure, like she's definitely gonna just like make a gritty, a dirty fight, and it's gonna be miserable. So like that's the only reason why I'm leaning to Molly, just because I don't know if Luana's distance management is really going to be good on the feet. But again, like I'm not too sure about the grappling either. So it's like if it does turn into a grapple fest, like that's gonna be interesting. But I think for right now, from what I can stand, if it stays standing, I'm just gonna go with Molly just because of that.
Yeah, I like that. I think her boxing has really improved since her debut. So I'm really excited to see how this one plays out. Next up, this fight's lit too. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of good fights on this one. Um, Mike Grundy coming up against Makwan Amerikani. Mirkani's been on a real tough stretch, dude, and they clearly do not give a fuck. Like sometimes they show some guys respect, and they're like, "Look, you're having a bad time. Let's give you a more favorable matchup." I think they want Makwan out of there. They're giving him the hardest matchups over and over again. Even coming off fighting guys that are coming off of wins, off of losses, big losses, I might add. Um, I I I personally like him as a fighter, even though he seems a little arrogant. But I think this is just another bad matchup for him. I think Grundy's going to be better in the grappling, which is where Makwan has the biggest chance. And on the feet, I think Grundy's relentless, dude. Like this guy comes forward, is there to bang, and honestly, is sneaky good on the feet, even though he's known for being a wrestler. So
Right.
I'm definitely going Grundy in this one.
Yeah, man. It's honestly heartbreaking watching like a Mirkani fight because it's just like you can see like like he starts with the wrestling and he does a lot of stuff, and then like over the course of the fight, it's kind of like okay, laser shot, or it's like super gassed out, and it's just like oh man, dude, it's rough, man. It's rough to watch him fight now. So, but yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised he gets slept in this one too, because I don't know, Mike Grundy he's also a monster. So
Mhm.
I think I'll definitely go with like Grundy on this one as well.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be. I can't really picture a lot of fighters that he could beat right now in this division, which is tough to say because, like you
Mm,
said, I consider myself a fan of his. But at this point, I don't know. You got to leave SBG, find somewhere else to train, in my opinion.
that's what I'm
Um,
saying, bro.
yeah, man. Him and Johnny Walker, just get out of there as fast as you can, guys. It hasn't been looking good since you got there.
It's not a good stuff. Like none, I don't know, man. Like with especially with those, like with Johnny Walker too. It's I don't think SPG is like a good fit for him. Like he's the type that's like willing to go out and like for fireworks and shit like that. Same thing like Amir Khani too. Like I think he's a really good mixed martial artist too. But it's just like I don't know what's up with the game plans lately, man. It's just not working for him.
Yeah, man. It's not leaning to their strengths, which I find pretty. I mean, but at the same time, I feel like he can't grapple for 15 minutes, and he's shown that like in a lot of his fights, which is tough when you know that that's sort of what you have to do in most of these matchups. Yeah, R.I.P. to Makwan Amir Khani after this one, in my opinion. But next up, Mohamed Mokaev coming up against Cody Durden. This is one of the fights too that I'm like, tell everyone you know about this guy because this guy is the future. I've loved watching him fight at Brave, and as soon as the UFC signed him immediately, I'm like, yeah, they're seeing the same things I'm seeing. Like this guy is the truth. I think he's gonna dominate Cody Durden in this matchup and really make a statement at what is he, 20 years old, which is insane.
He's a baby still, dude. Yeah, I definitely want to see this fight a lot. Like, um, Cody Durden, I don't really care for him as a human being, but the man can grapple. So I think this would be a good fight for both guys. Like, we get to see Muhammad if he's going to get tested or if he's going to finish well. We're going to see Cody see if he can derail the hype train before he can even like make a statement. And especially like in Muhammad's adopted hometown too, like well, not hometown, but like adopted city. Like this is where he really wants to shine, and this is a good debut fight in like a good city that's gonna really see if this will like bolster his like um, superstar appeal. And then I think that's the allure for me. Like when I see fights like this, like Cody, he's obviously gonna like he should just lean more into the heel, and then Mokaev definitely just wants to make a statement, and then he definitely wants to just like see how he can fast track himself to the belt, especially at such a young age. And yeah, but I can never say no to Russian guys. So, and especially like all his like amateur experience too. On top of that, it's like yeah, I got to go with Mokaev on this one.
Yeah, man, IMF champion, which is important to note. Like, I feel like people discount amateur careers because they're not making money. So, who are they really fighting? But on those circuits, you fight a lot, especially at this weight class. Like, I feel like people underestimate. I think flyweight is the most skilled division across the board. Like you have to have a complete game at flyweight, or else you're gonna get chewed up. Like everyone is extremely technical and very good at this division. Like, and if you're not, you get weeded out early. Like you're not able to have success at that level. So I'm really excited. I think this guy is the truth. And like you said, man, I'm one of those dudes. Fuck Cody Durden. I hope he gets smoked. And if he doesn't, he's gonna be on the mic making us wish he got smoked even more. So, like you
Oh
said,
man.
lean into that heel if you do end up coming out with a win, and you might even be a little bit more popular than we could have ever imagined, which is gonna fucking suck. But
Yeah, man. There's assholes in this sport, so it's like if you can do that, people are gonna like it. So,
yeah,
but
man,
obviously, yeah.
I would say most of the fan base, to be honest, leans towards guys like that. So yeah, interesting matchup as far as where they go after this one. But next up, this I was really surprised by this. So it's confirmed at this point, I guess. Like Ilia Topuria is fighting at lightweight now. He's this is the second time now that he's fought at 155 and had full training camps to fight at 155. Um, I thought after him missing weight that was just a one-time thing, but apparently now he's making the move. And what I find fascinating about that is he's fighting one of the bigger guys in this division, in Jai Herbert, who's very good. Like I think a lot of people sleep on him because he's had a lot of sort of high-profile mistakes in the UFC. Obviously,
Mm.
losing to Trinaldo in the way that he did, that was a big moment in his career and sort of what he was almost defined by. But I think the skill matchup in this one is a lot closer than people realize. And I think it's going to cause a lot of problems in this matchup.
Yeah, I didn't know he was moving up. That was weird. That, but like, damn, like it says right biologically, Jai Herbert has all the advantages: 6'1", 77-inch reach, 41-inch leg reach. I'm like, bro, what? Like, what? Damn, okay, but yeah, this is definitely going to be a rough fight for Ilia. Like now that I think about it, but I really want to see what game plan he's going to try to implement. Like, because damn, like that's he's a big guy. Jai Herbert's a big guy.
Legit. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm really concerned for him at this weight class because I thought he really like his frame wasn't big for 145. So that's why I'm a little surprised that he's going up. Obviously maybe he knows something we don't, and he's
Right,
young
right.
too, so maybe he's growing at a rate that obviously he needs to do the right thing for himself. I tend to agree with that. Like if you're really doing a toll on yourself health wise to make a division, you might as well go up and really fill out your body to fit that division so that you're more healthy, because you're already, don't get me wrong, you're already taking damage in this sport, so you might as well be as healthy as you can to prevent long-term damage. But at the same time, I don't know if this is the weight class for him as far as his attributes. So I'm really interested to see how this one goes. I'm gonna go Jai Herbert, man. I think being at home, having those advantages. Obviously, Ilia Topuria is a fantastic fighter, and I think on the ground, I think he might be a little bit more successful than people would imagine in this matchup. But I just got a feeling, man. I'm going Jai Herbert.
Yeah, like it's really hard to argue against that just because of like just the biological advantages alone. But ah, like I don't know, something about undefeated records too. It's like you really want to see like if he can go through the adversity of this. So, man, nah, I think fuck. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ilya. I think just because if he knows something, like if he knows this is the weight class for him, if he's really growing through, like it's literally gonna be telling in the first round. You know, you're gonna see if he's able to like land a takedown, land some hits, see if he can take a hit, but like from watching his last fights too, it's like against smaller dudes, obviously, but I think I'm hoping the power carries over. So I think I'm gonna go with Ilya on that one.
Really good shout, and I won't be surprised if that works out in that way either. So next up, we've got I keep saying it, but another fun fucking matchup. I'm excited for this one too. Gunnar Nelson versus Takashi Sato. Um, I really like Takashi Sato, man. I think he has a little bit of that um, McGregor tendencies as well on the feet. I think he has a really good cross, and he's shown it in a lot of fights. I think this matchup though is almost tailor made for Gunnar Nelson. I feel like given the way Bilal Muhammad was able to sort of take him out and really sort of expose the rear naked choke defense specifically. I think the UFC sees that too and wants to sort of give Gunnar Nelson an easy fight here. But let's not make any mistakes. I think on the feet, Gunnar Nelson could have a lot of issues in this matchup. And I think that's where sort of it all lies. If he's able to get the takedowns and sort of replicate that game plan, um, I want to lean towards Gunnar Nelson here. I just feel like over the course of his career, he's fought and lost to really good guys. Like I need to make that clear. So that's why it's making it very hard for me to pick Sato in this one because I don't know if he's at that level. But you know what? I really think losing a fight in that way does a lot more good for a fighter than people know. And based on activity alone, um, I'm going with Takashi Sato here, man. I'm taking the underdog shot. I think he has the intangibles. He has the power on the feet that Gunnar Nelson can't match. And I think if a couple things go the right way, he could almost run away with this one. So I'm not confident in it. I'm not going to bet on this one, but I'm going with Takashi Sato.
No, honestly, yeah, man. Like, I feel like this is a coming out party for him. Like, if Sato can really make a statement against Nelson, that's definitely going to put him like, oh, eyes are going to be on him after that. I think, but I understand how you feel with like picking Sato and stuff, just because also like Gunnar hasn't fought since 2019, like, and his last fight was against Gilbert Burns. So, but obviously the levels are different, so we won't know if he's done stuff on the time, like his time off or whatever. And I don't even know because not a lot of fighters can like make those improvements in the off season, right? So yeah, like just seeing this too, and but he does have submission. Sato does have submission losses, so. But for me, like I definitely feel like the safer bet would be to lean towards Sato, just because of like his activity and just seeing the power difference as well too, like 69% KO TKO rate wins, and it's just like, and I think the time off is definitely going to be like it's going to be super telling. Like I said before, in the first round, it's like one of those where you're going to really see if like Gunny's back or not,
Mhm.
you know. So
And I hope he is, to be honest. I think
mhm.
whenever people from SBG are doing well, I think it's good for the sport. Like I think everyone is more
Right,
interested in those guys because of Connor. Like let's just call it what it is.
yeah,
But I think he's good. Like there's a reason why out of anybody else, I would lean on him to be as the second best fighter out of there
right.
besides Brad Katona, but he's not even in the UFC or on that radar. So that's why I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, Gunnar Nelson has to be your number two in the SBG rankings. So we'll see, man. I'm hoping he could make that turnaround, but it's just a tough matchup. But next up, Paul Craig versus Nikita Krylov. In my opinion, this is a sneaky fight of the night contender. I feel like Nikita Krylov is a fucking whirlwind. Like all of his fights end up being extremely chaotic on the feet and in the grappling. I think there's sort of clear advantages for both guys. Obviously, Nikita Krylov more experience doing things and having success on the feet than Paul Craig does. But obviously, you got to sort of give the grappling edge to Paul Craig, especially because he's in his hometown. I feel like he's going to get lifted off of that for sure. But I think a lot of people sleep on Nikita Krylov. I think he's a real vet. He's fought a lot of people. Like his resume is stacked, and I think the skills on the feet is really going to be the difference in this one. So I'm going with Nikita Krylov, but this is another one I'm not confident on because I just picture him getting armbarred over and over again. But I'm going with Nikita Krylov.
Yeah, man. I did a while. I forgot that was soon.
I'm sorry, brother. You
Anyway,
like cut out. You like
I
cut out a little bit. Could you
oh
start?
did I?
Yeah, you're good. Could you start right when you started talking about the matchup?
Okay, so did Paul Craig say that he was gonna leave soon? Like he was gonna leave the sport soon? I
Yep,
forgot if that
he
was what it
did.
was.
He did. Yep.
Shit. Okay, there you go. I knew I wasn't crazy, but oh yeah, man. Like with Krylov too, like looking at his losses, Ankalaev just got off a good win, trying to fight for contendership. Champ now Glover, and then former champ Jan. Like, yeah, man. Seeing this guy, like I want to lean towards him a lot. I really do, especially with the stuff with what's happening in Ukraine and stuff like that. But also, like, it's just one of those things where I read too much into the plot. But because, I really like Paul Craig. I thought Jamal Hill was going to sleep his ass. And then the fact that he fucking made his arm look like Gumby, I was like, oh my God, like, come on. And then he says he's going to leave the sport soon. I'm like, bro, you're not like, you're a number 11. You're like, you're almost there. Like, keep going. Like, I don't want him to go anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, I really like Krylov a lot. You know, like, oh man, it's just going to see who's going to implement their game plan better. But I think with all this stuff happening right now in the world, I think that's going to light a fire in Nikita. So I got to go with Krylov on this one.
That's a great way to put it, man. Yeah, I think a lot of people when they're on that track and saying, I only got this many fights left or whatever, I feel like that's a detriment almost, because you're letting everybody know that you're on your way out, and like, I think there's something really to having a training camp where you're like, this is going to be one of my last ones versus like really improving and focusing on your skills. So yeah, man, the intangibles for me is what changes this one. But like you said, like there's so many ways Paul Craig could pull out a win here that I won't be surprised. But yeah, Krylov is a good pick in this spot, in my opinion. Next up, we go into the heavyweight division, the first heavyweight fight on this card. Shamil Abdurrahimov going up against Sergey Pavlovich. Look, MMA makes you good at pronouncing some crazy ass names. I think I got through that one. I think
That
I
was
did a
really
good
good,
job.
man. I didn't even notice you didn't even say anything wrong. That's why I was like, I didn't even acknowledge it. I was like, oh, this is
Yes, sir.
good.
So this matchup, I think, is very sneaky interesting because obviously Shamil's coming off of a big loss to Chris Dawkins. I thought he showed heart in that fight, but besides that, there wasn't much sort of to point to as far as positivity.
Mm,
In this matchup, I think Sergey has very good power on the feet. I think he tends to lean into his grappling in a way that he shouldn't, in my opinion, especially in this matchup. Like, I think if he comes out focused on staying on the feet and trying to get him out of there, I think that's his best route to victory. I could imagine a scenario where he's winning and doing the right things and then starts going for takedowns and sort of gasses himself out and then ends up on the bottom of this Russian. And that's the last thing you want. But I think Shamil is a tough fucking vet. Like, I won't be surprised if this goes to decision. I think if anything, Sergey has to approach this with that goal in mind because yeah, you might finish him, but he's shown that he has a big chin, and even if he gets cracked, he's still going to be in it for a while until you could put him out. So I think this matchup is tough for Sergey because of his tendencies. I think he has the higher upside out of the two, like as far as their points of their career right now. And that's what has me leaning towards Sergey Pavlovich. I'm going to pick him here. But this is the fight that I'm saying do not bet on this fight either way, because honestly, it is too close to call. And both of these guys' paths to victory are very pronounced. I think
right.
if Sergey ends up on bottom at any point, I think he's just going to get drained. And like the next round after that is just going to be horrible for him. So I'm picking Pavlovich here, but not too happy doing it.
No, man. Yeah. Honestly, I was telling my boy, like, I think like a month ago, like, when it comes to like heavyweight fights, you get like a really fast finish or like something like super crazy, or you're gonna have a fucking mud fight. Like they're just trying, they're so gassed, they're just throwing whatever they can, they're grappling, like they just the fight IQ goes up the fucking window. Like, and I mean rankings don't really mean shit, but like it's a good frame of reference. Like Shamil's number 10 right now. Sergey's 15. So a good jump, man. A good jump to 5, you know. And honestly, like you said, like if he ends up on the bottom, he's fucked. Like Shamil's just gonna fucking drain him. And I think I'm leaning more towards Shamil just because of his like, you know, just him being a vet. And the last couple of guys he's lost to, it wasn't even like, you know, they're all like rankers also, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if he can get a win over like this young dude, and I think that also is an advantage for Sergey. It's just him being younger. But I think if Shamil gets a win over this young dude, it's definitely going to be good for him as well, because that shows he can still hang with the top guys, you know. And he still has like, I don't know, man. Every time I watch vets fight, like I love to see if they can pull up some sneaky shit. But that's why I'm leaning more towards, you know, him, just because I really want to see that. You know.
Yeah. I feel like my MMA brain is telling me to pick Shamil. Like I feel like based on all those things, but yeah, I like that we got opposite picks on this one. Makes it more fun for me when we're watching it because both of those outcomes I could really see happening and them making it look easy. So
That's what
uh,
I'm saying.
interested to see how that one plays out, dude. But these next three fights, dude, this is prime UFC London moments right here. Like it's gonna be the crowd's gonna be going fucking crazy. It's gonna be super exciting. Next up, we got, in my opinion, what should have been the co-main event. I can't believe that they have the next fight in the co-main. Arnold Allen coming up against Dan Hooker. If you ask me, I almost wish this was a 5 round fight because I think it'll tell us more about these guys. If it was, obviously, in this card, it would have to be the main event, which sucks. So we're not getting that. We get the 3 round matchup. I think Arnold Allen's skills are very underrated. I think he's a workman in this division, and a lot of people don't like watching those guys fight, but I do. I think he really shows up every one of his fights with a complete game and sort of strategizes his attack based on the guy he's facing. I won't be surprised if he really leans into the grappling in this matchup against Dan Hooker. Um, I don't I don't know why he's going back down to 145, man. I feel like this isn't the right move and this isn't the right matchup to showcase that. But at the same time, if he fucking kicks Arnold Allen's head into the stands, I won't be surprised by that either. But I'm going with Arnold Allen in this one. I think he has a much bigger upside at this division. But this, for the first round, especially, this is a dangerous fight.
Oh yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Just because Arnold Allen's ceiling is a lot higher, and Dan's frame is just so big. Like I just don't see him like making 145 again, like unscathed, right? And I think I kind of wish the card. I think that I wish this was a co-main because I would want to see this as a 5 round fight. But I'll explain why like later on. But with how it's going right now, like I think with Arnold Allen, like he definitely wants to make a statement, and this is like the perfect time because this is like a high profile opponent, you know, bigger guy going down a weight class. You know, you definitely want to see him like really make a statement here. Like you want to see his star power rise, and this is the perfect fight. But on the other side, when you look at Dan, like he's trying to get another career resurgence, right? You know, tough last losses against like really good guys in the division. But like Arnold too, like I think he's trying. I think Dan's trying to lean more towards his biological advantages too, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it's like, is it? It's gonna show it's if it's a detriment or if it's gonna be an advantage. But when you're fighting a guy against like Arnold Allen, like that's definitely gonna be a lot. harder to predict just because Arnold Allen's so good. So I can definitely see him leaning towards the grappling this fight. But I'm also very biased when it comes to like city kickboxing guys. So I'm probably going to lean Dan Hooker with this one just because I want to see what he can do.
I agree, man. I always thought when he was at this weight class that he was a big problem because of how big he is. Because I agree, even though he looked huge at 155 too, I feel like when he fought at this weight class, obviously he was not as big as he was when he was fighting at lightweight. And he always looked pretty good. I mean, he had a war with Yair Rodriguez, and that was a competitive ass fight. Like he had Yair throwing up, if I remember correctly, after the fight was over. But yeah, man, I'm really fascinated by this fight because it's gonna tell us a lot about Dan Hooker and where he's gonna go from here. Because obviously this isn't the the hardest matchup in this division, but this is nowhere near an easy matchup at all. Like this is someone that's on their way up and really gonna show where he falls in this division real quick. So really hyped for this one. If this is my shout right here. If Dan Hooker wins, it's probably going to be either by, like I said, a head kick or a intercepting knee. The fact that he has two big high profile knockouts with that already, I could just see that playing out, especially because I could imagine Arnold Allen sort of pushing the takedowns. So keep an eye out for that if you're a betting person. Next up, co-main event. I think this one's 3 rounds still. They need to make up their mind about that because I feel like, yeah, because I feel like usually like last pay-per-view they did the co-main obviously between Dos Anjos and Moicano 5 rounds, and I feel like they might have had a bad taste in their mouth for that because they don't always do the 5 round co-mains. But usually it's whenever they want to test guys that are on that sort of championship track. And in that matchup, originally it was Rafael Dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev. So I thought they wanted to see Fiziev in a 5 round fight, and that's why it was 5 rounds. But this one is a 3 rounder. It makes sense for where these guys are in their career. I would say Paddy Pimblett, this fight is made for him to win. Like, let me get that clear. I'm going to say that off the top. I think they want him to look good and have another win. I was surprised by his performance against Luigi Vendramini. I got that one down packed too. I thought it was a very very talented fight. I thought he really showed his grit, got buzzed a couple times early, and then used that and really came out with a fire under his ass in the second. I don't think he has the room to do that in this matchup. I think Kazula Vargas is much bigger and hits much harder than Luigi does, and I think if he ends up on the back foot getting tagged early, like it's really bad for Patty. But at the same time, I feel like there's a big grappling advantage as well. So he might want to sort of bait that a lot to get Kazula rushing him in order to make those duck unders a little bit easier for himself. I think, like I said, this matchup is made for Patty to win, but I won't be surprised if he ends up getting pretty tagged on the way to getting the win eventually.
Yeah, man. I thought this was a co-main. That's on me, but I mean, like
it is the co-main,
co-main 5 round. Mm-hmm. But then I totally forgot. Like, but this is like, yeah, this is definitely a perfect matchup for him. Like this is the type that he has to showcase everything now, especially with his following, how big of a star he is. Like they definitely made this guy Vargas. They made him like if he this is how he's going to set up the future matchups. See what he's going to do with it, you know. So like, I really hope all these London dudes, like if they win, they have their promos. They come correct with their promos because this is the type of shit you want. Like this is how it's going to boost you. Because oh man, dude, like, but definitely like Vargas is not a joke though, man. This guy, like his back, bro. Like you can tell he has a lot of power. His last one against Rongju, I mean, that left a sour taste in my mouth because you know, like I love the Chinese fighters, but man, like I don't know what was up with that. That fight IQ was weird for me, but yeah, Vargas definitely
young. That's his issue. So Zhu Rong is super young. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, no, that's completely it. But I know Vargas wants to make a statement from here. You know, like Luigi had a chance, he almost got it, then he fumbled it, but it's all right. But with Vargas, I feel like everything's stacked against him, and he's definitely gonna show why people shouldn't sleep on him. And like, but Patty, man, like this is like the perfect fight. Like he has to do like that. Don't even do like the whole like try to like strike with him for a bit. Like maybe entertain that a little bit, but at the same time get to the ground, show people what they know you for. And yeah, bro, this one's gonna be good because this is gonna be super telling on the star power, what's gonna happen with both these guys.
Yeah, man. I honestly believe that if Kazula Vargas is a plus 200 underdog, I'm putting some money on him because this matchup is way closer than that. Like it
Mm-hmm.
is not, in my opinion, worthy of being a big favorite. I haven't checked out the odds yet, but I just feel like because of his following and everything, that he will end up being a huge favorite come fight night. So I'm definitely
Definitely.
keeping my eyes on that. I mean, real quick, I just need to mention this. He's one of the few guys in the sport that has angled themselves for a career after fighting. He has a 7-figure contract with Barstool Sports in the UK. That's
Mm-hmm.
big. Like that means something. And the fact that you got them to invest in you just to be yourself and talk, like really that's what it is. Um he he's set himself up already. Now I think he really wants to maximize on his athletic platform, which I think there's really a lot to admire about that because a lot of these guys, let's keep it real, they're in it to make money, and he already has done that. So I think he has a lot to fight for, and I think if certain things go bad and he has a couple bad runs back to back, like I don't imagine him having a long career if that happens. Like he could just say, "Peace, I'm out," and just keep doing his thing, making money that way.
Just
And
eating, getting fat.
yes, sir, yes, sir. Every guy needs their
Oh,
time off.
man.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
feel that. I feel that.
Yes, sir. So yeah, I'm excited about this one, even though I feel like there's a couple fights that are more deserving of the co-main event spot. But
Mhm.
next up, main event time. Alexander Volkov coming up against Tom Aspinall. I'll let you start with this one because I got a lot to say about this one.
All right. Well, this is a good fight. Number 6, number 11. But like what I said prior about how heavyweight fights can be either like really entertaining, really, slugfest type of shit, or like mud fights, this is definitely not going to be a mud fight. Like, there's no way. Like, Tom Aspinall, he's definitely one of those guys on the come up. He's, one of those new gen guys, good frame, can mix it up, can strike, can grapple, man can wrestle. Oh my God. The blast double he hit on Andre Arlovsky was just fucking money. But also Volkov, vet, he's been here 33-9, man. He still wants that title shot. He still wants to prove that he's still one of the best. So like honestly, for me, I gotta go with Aspinall just because of like his star power, his potential and star power. This is a big jump, just because Volkov is a monster in his own right, and this is going to show like if he's truly belongs in this division. And he took the slow track, and this is him like just still trying to make the top 10 now. He's just making the top 10, and this might be a little bit higher, but I think this is like the perfect pace he should go at because the guy is super skilled. So I definitely am just going to go for Aspinall. I really hope this is going to be like, I don't want it to be a quick finish. I want this to be like something super competitive with maybe a late stoppage, whatever it is. So I just really I just love watching this man fight. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, man. I mean, I agree with you. I'm really excited about this fight for a lot of reasons. I think first, Alexander Volkov, his only losses in the UFC. Like, let me read these off because I think it's important. He lost to Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades, and Cyril Gahn. In my opinion, those guys are right in that top five. Like, that is the level he's at. And I think he showed a lot of improvements lately, like really sharp on the feet. His gas has really showed through in a lot of these fights. I mean, in 5-round fights against Curtis Blade, getting grapple fucked for 5 rounds and being able to come up in the fifth and really do damage and sort of still have a good output in the fifth. Like you said, that's rare in this division, and it matters in this matchup. I think Tom Aspinall is very good. Like, obviously, when it comes to upside, he's the guy that you're looking at in this matchup. And I honestly have been a huge fan of his. I think all his intangibles, he's very good on the feet. He's a powerful striker. And then he added in that second dimension, which I had no idea was a big part. And apparently it is. His grappling is solid. And I think in this matchup, what bothers me about it is I think there's a lot of questions about Tom Aspinall and whether or not he can do those things for an extended period of time. I think he's shown he can get guys out of there, but in longer matchups, we don't really know if he has the gas to sort of push that same pace, same energy throughout 5 rounds. I won't be surprised in this one if he ends up dominating early and then ends up fading bad and just getting picked apart towards the end of the fight.
Right.
But when it comes to skills, I have to give it to Aspinall. Like, I'm going with Tom Aspinall in this one because I think he has the bigger upside. But I could see a veteran moment where he humbles Aspinall and sends him back down a little bit. But Tom Aspinall is the truth, and if everything is the way we think it is, I think he's gonna be fighting for a title real soon.
Oh yeah, man. Like this is definitely one of those breakout, the breakout matchups you need. Like, uh, but definitely, like I agree with what you said with like Volkov too, like his gas tank and everything, and just like oh man, when he bullied Overeem, bro, like that was so hard to watch. I was like, the man has played spoiler before, and this is the type of fight that you definitely want to see. Like if Aspinall can get past that, but also like that was a good point you made too, because now I'm thinking like oh shit, like if the longer this fight goes, like we're gonna see if Aspinall can keep it up. Like if Volkov can carry it throughout those next few rounds, we're gonna see if he can start, taking him apart from there, and if he can like, is he gonna like wilt? Is Tom gonna wilt under the pressure, or is he gonna like pursue it? But if it's not a fast finish, I'm saying, but yeah, that oh man, this is an interesting fight. This is definitely a pivotal moment in the heavyweight division. See who's on the up and up right now.
For sure, man, for sure. I love these veteran versus up and comer matchups because a lot of the times in MMA, I think having that experience is a lot more valuable than people give into account. Like, you could be,
Mm-hmm.
I think that really showed in the Greg Hardy fight. Like, the fact that he went to a decision with Greg Hardy, you don't really like to see, because in my opinion, I think he should have easily got him out of there. But just that fight specifically, like the veteran, he just put him on the back foot the entire fight, kept him at distance, and he couldn't do shit about it. Like, he looked lost come the third round. So I'm
Yeah, bro.
I'm really interested in that because I think he's still Tom Aspinall is still so young, and that's such uh I guess a wild card in the heavyweight division specifically, because I
Mm.
feel like in MMA there's a thousand ways to die, bro. Like that show. There's
Yeah,
a
I remember
thousand
that. Spike
ways for
TV,
yeah, so many ways
yeah.
for things to go wrong, and
Oh,
that
bro.
experience really carries you much more than your athletic platform in
Mhm.
heavyweight specifically. So
Exactly.
I'm a little worried about this one, but I'm not gonna put him in no parlays, but I think I'm gonna put some money on Aspinall. I think he's worth the shot, and his
Hmm.
skills are legit. Like, I think he really is on that championship track. And this is a big
Mm.
test, so that's what makes it an awesome matchup.
Exactly. He's one of those new age fighters, man. Like they're getting better and better every year. Like every generation that comes up, it's becoming more and more well balanced. Like they're not just, they have a good base, but then they use every aspect of martial arts, and like you said about like Greg Hardy versus Volkov, like you see the levels. Like you see guys who are like they try to make that really big jump like one but in the heavyweight division sometimes if you get the right hit it doesn't matter like Tai Tuivasa versus Derek Lewis, like both guys similar styles, they both love to bang, but the jump in rankings is like way different, you know. Like he went all the way up now, and now Ty is like on this like ridiculous tear right now, and he might fight Stipe next. He has all this potential to like do more. Like that you I like when they mix up the divisions like that, when they can have those guys fight these vets and see where the thing is. And if not, like you said, like people don't think about the losses, how they affect a fighter's career. And Tom Aspinall, watching his interviews, you already know how confident he is, like all the confidence he has in the world. And honestly, it's like even if he lost, he'll know like he'll bounce back even better. You know, even Volkov loses, like he still is gonna keep trying to fight and keep trying to like see like prove to himself how good he is. And that's why you gotta love this game. Like it's hard, bro. Like you just see like the passion these guys have and the will to win and everything like that. But then when you see those type of fights like Volkov versus Greg Hardy, like and Max Holloway versus Cater, like those are like two examples of like what happens when you get meet with that kind of adversity, and then you either rise or you don't. Greg Hardy got cut. Cater just beat the shit out of Giga. Like that's how it is.
Dude, and that's such a good point because the fact that he had that matchup where you see the levels against Max Holloway, and then he did the same shit. Like he showed his level against Giga Chikadze. I think that really shows how special of a fighter Max Holloway is. And people always sleep on him because of sort of the position he's in with 2 losses against Volk. But I think in that matchup, like it's even. Like I feel like that's a coin flip fight, no matter how many times they do it, regardless of the fact that Volkanovski has won that fight twice.
I do that too. It's okay.
Yeah, especially because we were just talking about Volkov.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
But when you were talking about that matchup between Ty, I think what broke my heart a little bit is I actually would have preferred this the other way around. Like I think Tai Tuivasa and Stipe are actually a bad matchup for each other in interesting ways. Like at this point to their career, like I keep thinking back to that Stipe versus Mark Hunt fight, and the fact that Derek Lewis was able to get top position and hold top position for a while, that's not a good sign against somebody like Stipe. But when you consider, Stipe has been getting hurt in these fights lately, and Ty always has big power, of course. That's just both sides are, it's sort of a bad matchup for each other. I'm leaning towards Stipe in that one because of the experience edge. But what I was gonna say was when I'm looking at this matchup and the main event for this weekend, I almost want to flip it. Like it would have been, in my opinion, so much more better if it was Tom Aspinall versus Ty and Stipe versus Volkov, because in a way, like those fights are more even, in my opinion. Like they're putting them in the spot they deserve to be in the rankings. And like you said, it's always fun when they mix things up. But at the same time, I think it can be bad for a guy like Ty to get shot up that high when, in my opinion, he still needs a little bit more experience. I mean, we saw that just recently against Spivak, against Junior Dos Santos. He suffered some big losses in the UFC. And of course, he's on a great run now. But you could almost say the matchups he has had since those unfavorable ones where he lost have been tailored to his skills and his strengths. So it's almost like, is it a little bit too soon for a guy like Ty? I think time will tell. But giving him a matchup like Stipe, that begs that question even more. So
exactly.
I'm excited to see, and obviously this weekend is going to be hella fun. Like by the time we get to the main event, I think it's going to feel even bigger than it feels now, like discussing it, because I feel like this matchup is going to be like you said, it's just going to tell us so much about the division and where these guys are heading.
Definitely, man. Like it's like make or break, like those type of fights. Like especially like, but I agree, man. Like sometimes a lot of those like they can be very excessive type of matchups, and you want to see guys who their skill levels match, because you want to see who's the better fighter. And I've always been like that. Like but I've like lately I've been leaning more towards like the storytelling and like all that type of stuff, just because I'm a big pro wrestling fan as well. But also like at a whole, like you want to see martial arts. You want to see which fighter's better. Like I don't care about the rankings. I just want to see that. but definitely agree with like how the fight could work. Like, because Stipe could get hit, um, fucking he could wrestle him. You know, there's a bunch of different shit, and like, and I'm glad now that like thinking about that made me think about like the welterweight division. You know, because you definitely for a while, you know, these guys are just like, oh, I'll fight you. No, I won't. You know, just like teasing each other and shit. And then you see what happens when they actually fight. Like Colby fucking dominates Masvidal, you know, still gets clipped, whatever, you know. Then you see like, you know, Leon's finally getting a style shot and shit like that, you know. It's just like we need to move it on. Like you gotta like we can't just keep doing like that. People bouncing around, people don't want to lose their rank and stuff. It's like you gotta remember where you're at. You're a martial artist. Just fight, you know. But definitely, but obviously, this is their career, so they want to make the best career decisions for themselves, which is smart. But like, from like a real MMA fan's point of view, like I want to see the best fight with the best all the time.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's so true, man. This has been super fun for me. I just randomly thought of a couple questions that I want to ask you, just as fans, because like you said, man, those matchups are the most fun for me. But this first questions, we had to talk about it. I mean, you got the dude on your background. Shout out to Robert Whitaker. I thought that last fight with Adesanya, I thought he did a lot better than people gave him credit for. I scored the fight for him. I thought he won the fight. And call
yeah.
me biased, say whatever you got to say. I thought he won that fight and edged it slowly just because of the sort of the landing the more impactful strikes on the feet versus the leg kick approach. But that might be my bias. And I'm an Adesanya fan, so you can't really say I'm too biased. But what do you think is next for Robert Whitaker? I know that there's some rumors about Marvin Vettori. How do you see that matchup playing out?
That's a good fight. Just because, honestly, I could have saw it for either guy. Like I leaned a little bit towards more Adesanya, but the leg kicks. But at the same time, it's like it kind of sucks because like you don't ever want to see like one strike be favored over the other. So I wouldn't have been mad either way. Like I like Robert a lot, and if he's fighting Vittori, honestly, I always make jokes about this with my friends. Like every time Robert fights someone, he fucks them up. Like he fucks them up. He's the nicest guy, has a great family, fucking nerd. But like every time he fights someone, he breaks Cannonier's forearm, he fucks up Yoel's eye forever. You know, everyone's face is getting busted up. With Marvin too, like Marvin just has that grinding wrestling style lately. And he still has good combinations and stuff. But I think when you watch Rob's fights, he mixes it up so well. You know, like you couldn't tell. Like I didn't even know his base was karate for a while. You know, like, and then I saw like the way his like hip dexterity and everything like that. Him how he kicks, how he mixes in that combo. Still hits guys with the same combo, and
For years,
they still
dude.
fall for it. They still fall for it. It's like, and then with Marvin too. Marvin's such a meathead. Like he's like the type that like I mean that in a genuine like compliment kind of way. Like the man will take shots, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to do that against Rob because Rob, as nice as he is, he doesn't give a fuck. Like he wants to like ruin you, you know. And this is a good for him because Rob has good wrestling defense. You know, he is very good like mixing up his strikes with his takedowns too. Especially like the fact that he was still able to take down Adesanya. You know, sure he came up whatever, but at the same time, it's the fact that he still took him down. You know, same thing with Vittori. But I think me being hopeful, like I wrestled in high school, stuff like that. I'm hoping for like a lot of like sprawl fest, like or sprawl like no sorry like just like yeah like just like a lot of scrambles. You know, that's what I'm hoping for. A lot of scrambles, a lot of hits off the exits. You know, just but I'm definitely leaning more towards Rob during that, just because, just like you can see the level of the division. Like middleweight is Adesanya, Rob, kind of everybody else, like Volk, Holloway, everybody else. Like that's the type of shit. Like I just can't see Adesanya fighting anybody else, like and not having a competitive fight. And I feel like Rob's inching closer and closer to like solving the puzzle. You know.
That's fascinating, man. I agree. I think obviously that matchup isn't going to help him in the Adesanya matchup, but I agree. I feel like he has the package. If anyone at that division is going to do it, in my opinion, it's him. I don't see Pereira making his way up to fight Adesanya. I think he's going to end up having to fight someone in that top 15 before that. That's really going to put it on him. But I'm really fascinated to see, because I think in the past, Robert Whitaker hasn't had issues with guys like Vettori. But at the same time, like you said, this is a new era, and say what you want, Vettori has some success against Adesanya in a way that I thought Robert Whitaker tried to replicate and couldn't, which I think is really a key factor in this matchup, because yeah, it's not, that doesn't matter when you're facing the guy. It's two different fights, but at the same time, I think it does show you that the level is a little bit higher for Vettori. Obviously, Robert Whitaker's first line of attack isn't wrestling, and that's always been Vettori's. But at the same time, wrestling hasn't been extremely effective against Robert Whitaker. So that really makes me sort of wonder how this one's going to play out. I agree, though. I think Robert Whitaker is sort of steps ahead of the rest of the division and doesn't get the credit he deserves, in my opinion, on the middleweight all-time list. Like, I feel like he's up there, and he's given us some all-time great fights too. So he deserves the recognition he's been getting lately as well. And I think, yeah, it's probably going to be a decision, but I think he fucks up Vettori bad in that one. And then just because you mentioned matchups and things you want to see, I'm just going to give you the floor on this one. Like, I'm calling you out here, but like, what's a matchup in any division that like you're like, I need to see this fight before the end of the year?
You got me fucked up asking this. Shit, man. I mean, I'm from Wire, bro. Like, I always gotta go with Holloway, but trying not to go towards that route. I do want to mix it up a bit. I want to see Ray Cooper in the UFC. Like, I want to see someone completely different come in. Like, just because I actually graduated the same year as Ray Cooper. My wrestling team, it was rivals with him in high school. And they had like amazing matchups, but Ray was always the type to always be state champ. But so seeing him like do all the shit he does now, like seeing him like win all that stuff in the PFL, like I want to see how a lot of those guys like make in the division, like or how they fare against guys in the UFC too. You know, like you have all these fantasy matchups too, like Gegard Mousasi and like Adesanya. So it's just for me, I think in case of just general matchups, I just want to see someone from like the top of a different division, like top of a different organization, go into the UFC and see how they fare. That's the type of stuff I want to watch before the year ends. And I mean, the money's there if you're a big enough star, but that's the type of stuff I want to see. Like Ray Cooper fighting a guy like fuck man, like what's welterweight, right? I can't even think right now. Like Usman, or fighting guys like. I mean, that's probably a big jump, honestly, but you know what I mean? Like just
I
like
think he has
guys
a
like
shot in
that.
that matchup. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. It's because it's just like, dude, he's a man, what he did to Rory McDonald too. It's like you don't know. Like we don't know. Like there's so much interesting things to see, you know. So that's why. But I'm obviously again, we are talking about being biased and stuff, you know. I'm
Hawaii
always gonna.
bias is real.
Yeah, it is, bro. Man, I always stand by that. I'm not even from Hawaii like that. Like I was born in California, but like being raised here, bro, you see like it's nice, man. It's really nice to see like all these Hawaii guys get the love, you know.
Mhm.
But like, if I want to say UFC matchups, I'll say like Holloway. I just want to see Holloway back in there, you know.
I like both of those, man. I'm a fan of Ray Cooper. He comes from a family of OGs. Like I was watching on this show, you know, I watch old school events and I sort of talk about him. And I was like, holy shit, that's Ray Cooper's dad right there. Like early on in the UFC, like
Yeah,
one of the
dude.
first three events, his pops was there cornering someone. And I was like, holy
Mm-hmm.
shit, like this guy's an OG. And the reason why I knew is because he just looks exactly like his father. Like it's insane
Exactly.
how much he
It's
looks
weird,
like
bro.
him. But he's a fucking beast. Like you said, like to see him face adversity and then come back from that and win the PFL tournament after losing the first time around, like you gotta show him respect. He is in the top 5 at welterweight. If you ask me, I don't care that he's in another division. He's that good. And the fact, like you said, like he dominated Roy McDonald in that fight and made it look easy, which I thought there was no chance of that playing out that way. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see him make a jump too. But if I'm him, I stay there for as long as I can and get that paper, bro, because he ain't gonna be making
That
nowhere
$1
near
million, come on, man.
facts. But
What about you, man? I gotta know.
yeah.
I gotta know. You
No,
gonna
no,
put me on blast?
I
I wanna.
got you. I got you.
Okay,
I
all
was gonna
right.
come around. I was gonna come around.
Okay,
So
okay, okay.
I'm really excited about a fight that's coming up. Obviously, we already got it on the books, so I'm going to talk about it, and then I'll give you one that we don't have on the books. So, Aljamain Sterling versus Peter Yan 2. Whenever I go over this fight in my head, there's a big way that both of these guys win, and obviously, considering the way the first matchup went, I think that's something that people are like, Peter Yan's going to destroy this guy, but I think it's like say what you want. Aljamain Sterling looked bad out there, especially towards the 4th and 5th round. He was getting honestly manhandled in a lot of ways in the areas that you thought he would have success in. But I think that experience does a lot for a fighter, and especially in this matchup, if he comes out the way he did against Corey Sandhagen and really puts him on the back foot early, gets a big takedown, and starts working his grappling from the get, like I really feel like he could take Yan out of there, and he's the only guy, in my opinion, that has the skills to do it. Like everyone else, you're fighting Yan at the place where he wants to fight you, and that's not where you want to be against a guy like that. Like that guy is a fucking assassin. I love watching him fight just because he's so methodical and he's very technical and very knowledgeable about ranges and how to keep guys out of his range. I mean, the Corey Sandhagen fight, that was my fight of the year, and a lot of people don't agree with that, but I thought that fight was competitive, and the fact
Yep.
that he showed that he's able to keep someone that's way bigger than him at range and then do better in the striking and land more jabs and things like that. I just think he's such a good talent. And this matchup is a lot closer than people give it credit for. So that's the one fight that I'm pointing to, and I think it's what, like 3 weeks from now, something like that. So I'm pumped for that. And then a matchup that we don't have on the books right now, man, I've been talking about this all year, and there's a lot of things that need to happen for it to work out the way I want it to. But there's one guy in the middleweight division that I think of that I'm like, that he could actually give Adesanya some problems. And I think you're gonna be surprised by this, but Nasruddin Imavov, I think he's a monster. I think
That's a good fight,
dude,
bro.
I think he is so good. And obviously he's fighting someone in the top 15 real soon. Who is it? I'm trying Kelvin Gastelum, right? That's who he's fighting.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
big
Ooh,
matchup. And
that is
obviously,
super big.
yeah, it's gonna show us a lot as far as where he's headed. But I think he
Mhm.
has that championship sort of ceiling. And if he ends up in a matchup against Adesanya, I think he'll give him a fight that not a lot of guys in that division can. I think he's very technical
Mhm.
on the feet and then can mix up the grappling in a way that obviously I thought Whitaker had a chance of doing that in a big way. And obviously we saw how that turned out. But I think with against someone who's gonna have more success at range, because I think honestly, Imavov at range can go with the best of them. Like I really think on
Mhm.
the feet, that fight against Adesanya is going to be interesting because he's going to land some shots that people are going to be surprised about. So that's the one for me. There's a lot of things that need to fall into place for that to happen.
Mhm.
Maybe even a couple years down the road, but I would love to see that fight.
No, that's a super good fight. Like, yeah, they have he has a length too. Like he's like 6'3", right? Like he's pretty
Yeah.
big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be a good. Like I think those matchups are super interesting because then you want to see someone with like kind of the same frame when you fight, like when they fight like really tall guys like Adesanya. Like I think like Jones, like John Jones, one of his most competitive fights was like against Gustafsson for the first time, right? Because he never really fought a guy like that stature, and then he had like problems, yeah, all the whatever training shit aside, but besides that, like he actually had like a tough time, like with the guys who are like kind of like the same size as him. So I definitely want to see guys who like kind of have like a similar frame, like go against Adesanya with that. So that would be really fun. But going back to like the Aljo fight with Jan, you're right, man. Like I feel like that's a really good fight in terms of like seeing like injury stuff. Like I always believe a fighter when they say they've been injured, all that stuff, especially with neck shit. Like that's serious stuff, man. That'll fuck you up for life, bro. Like, and he not only that, he got fucking slammed on his neck like a couple times too, like with those like clenches and stuff like that. And but yeah, you're right. It wasn't a good fight for him, the first one, especially fucking boxing with a guy who's a master of sport in boxing. You know, it's like it's not the smartest idea, you know. But I'm really looking forward to seeing if this is a different matchup. But it's so hard to see Aljo doing a lot better because I haven't seen him in a while. And then you see like Jan and his fight with Sandhagen. Bro, like I agree with you, man. That had to be fight of the year. Just like if you're basing it like a real MMA fan, when you think about like mixed martial arts, you see martial arts. That's martial arts to me. Like just pure high, high pace, high, very competitive. Like the striking is really good, and then you see adjustments throughout the fight for both guys. And the fact that Peter Yan drew a reaction out of fucking stoic Sandhagen, like, like that's like the guy. Peter Yan's a maniac in a sense, where he's like kind of a psychopath because he's super quiet, like he's super family oriented guy, but he knows how to say shit. Like you can see it, like when he's smiling. That's the only time you see him smile is when he's fighting somebody, you know. And Aljo loves drawing a reaction out of him, and it's hilarious. Like a lot of it's cringy, but a lot of it's like it makes me more excited to see what's gonna happen during the fight. Are they gonna talk shit? Are they really gonna focus in on like trying to like be better than each other? And yeah, it's like and Aljo has really good grappling. It's just people recency bias is such a fucking virus, in the MMA community. So they just see like, oh, he got like his ass fucking killed and like the grappling exchanges and stuff like that. But at the same time, like look what he did to Sandhagen. You know, you got to give credit where credit's due. You can't just like shit on someone because of one performance. This is why it's so hard to like, make a break in this industry where in terms of like you get judged on your last fight no matter what, and that's why we see Jan like have a higher ceiling or whatever it is. Like people favor him more just because of like all the fights he's won recently and how he's won. But Aljo's still the champ, no matter how he won it, whatever it is. I really want to see if he's gonna make this. And he's smart too. Like his coaching, his fight IQ, and everything like that. It's smart. I mean, the last fight was kind of a little bit suspect, but trying to strike with him and stuff. But the man, I think he can make adjustments.
Yeah, man. And I think the key about those adjustments too is like, I encourage everyone watching, like, watch back the first Aljo Yan fight because those first 2 rounds, yeah, he's not going about the game plan that you want him to, but he had a lot of success on the feet too. So that was interesting to me because that showed me that he could sort of go all out on the grappling. Because really, even the best grapplers, like besides people like Khabib, where they're like all-time great level, like usually you could only really get 3 rounds of heavy grappling out of somebody in a 5-round fight just because of how taxing it is. And I feel like he showed that even in rounds where he might be taking a step back just to sort of regroup, I think he's competitive. Like if he doesn't allow Peter Yan to start walking him down and sort of engaging in the grappling on Peter Yan's terms, I think he's able to dominate that exchange, which I find fascinating. It's like as long as you're not tired, as long as you're not on the back foot, and you're the one determining how these grappling exchanges begin, I think it's all in Aljamain Sterling's favor. But as soon as you're allowing this guy to sort of walk you down and have what he wants, and put you on the back foot, I think it's a nightmare. So
Yeah, man.
yeah, there's a lot of room
Super
for
true.
improvement, like you said. I'm really excited about that fight. Bantamweight finally is gonna have an undisputed champion, and we need it. Trust. Yeah,
He's so
man.
good.
Well,
yeah, man.
thank you so much, man. I just wanted to say, like, I had a fucking great time. Like, this was super fun for me.
Yeah, bro.
You're always showing all the love, so you already know it was great to have you on. I want to keep you in that orbit because I got a couple guys that I'm sort of keeping in a rotation now. You're one of
Mhm.
those dudes. You clearly know your shit, and I had a great time on the show. So
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
let them know where to find you again on Twitter and all that good stuff.
uh, 808 MMA Insight on Twitter. And definitely, please, if you watch this for the first time, follow my man. All his shit's amazing. I'm a big fan of his. First time caller, but definitely gonna be a long time listener. So please give the man his flowers, please.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. And if you want to do that, check out the brand first and foremost. We're the OTS Media Co. on all platforms on YouTube, OTS Media. We got coverage on basketball, football, boxing, MMA. Like we cover it all, pop culture. Like we're working, and there's really it's all paying off now. Like it's really good to see the growth that we've had over this year, and we're just going to keep continuing on that. So please follow the brand first and foremost. And then you could catch me on Twitter at Negron MMA, as well as on Instagram at Chris Negron _. Just try to keep everything fresh, put out new content every week. And right now I'm doing basically 3 shows a week, 2 MMA, one where I'm looking at recaps and then looking at the next weeks of fights, and then another one where I go all the way back in time and look back at MMA events in the chronological order that they happened and sort of giving a good historical context of the sport. So if you're interested in that, please check me out there on the MMA Archive. Obviously, it's on the same feed, so you'll be able to see all those videos. We got UFC 13 just came out last week, and then next week is going to be UFC 14. So I'm excited for all that. Once again, dude, thank you for coming on. It was awesome. You already know we'll have you on again real soon. But thank
Oh
you
yeah,
guys
man.
for watching, all of you. I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the fights. And hey, just got to say it right now. Watch out for that Paddy Pimblett Kazula Vargas line, because if it goes too south, it's time to throw some money on Kazula. Have a good one, you guys. I'll
All
catch you
right.
guys next time.
Aloha, y'all.